It is 4:12 a.m. on the 20th of November 2025. The Caribbean Sea is dark and quiet when a US B-21 raider cuts through the sky on a routine transit. The crew expects nothing more than a smooth flight. Then every warning light inside the cockpit flashes at the same time. A loud tone hits their ears, sharp and endless. High-energy radar lock. Source: Venezuela. There is no jet in sight, no missile trail, just an invisible beam pushing against the aircraft like a spotlight with real weight behind it. The pilot reports the lock in a calm voice, but everyone hears the tension under the words. They know this kind of radar does not turn on by accident. The radar holds its line for a few seconds, hoping the signal will drop. It does not. The power climbs higher, as if someone on the ground is preparing the next step. The crew looks at each other, waiting for the call that will decide their next move. Do they break away or stay steady and risk the unknown? The airspace north of Venezuela may look empty on a map, but it is one of the busiest and most sensitive routes in the entire Caribbean. US patrol aircraft, Coast Guard cutters, and support missions use this corridor every week. Every radar in the region scans non-stop, day and night. One wrong signal in this zone can turn a routine flight into a dangerous standoff in seconds. For the US, this route is more than a line on a chart. It connects key bases in Florida and Puerto Rico and supports testing lanes where new systems like the B-21 prove their reliability in real conditions. These flights are planned carefully, far from restricted zones, and monitored from multiple command centers. To the crew, it is a mission they must complete without drawing attention. To Venezuela, the same stretch of sky feels like a pressure point. Government officials believe foreign aircraft gather intelligence on their coastal defenses, especially around Maracay, where the S-300VM batteries are placed. Just a few days before the incident, state media accused the US of probing their radar network. Young operators sitting in front of glowing screens felt that pressure. They were told to watch for anything unusual. And when they saw the faint trace of a high-altitude aircraft that did not answer civilian frequency checks, they assumed a threat long before confirming one. This misunderstanding matters because radar beams in this region do not behave like polite warnings. A sudden rise in power can look exactly like the first steps of a missile launch. And for the B-21 crew, every spike on the threat display feels personal. They are not watching a drill. They are sitting inside the aircraft that the radar is targeting. The stakes here are simple. Two nations with long-standing tension are facing each other in the dark, and both sides believe the other might make the next move. It is the kind of moment where calm decisions prevent disaster, and where fear can create one. And before we move on, let me ask you this. Do you think Venezuela acted on purpose or out of panic? Press 1 if you think it was deliberate, or press 9 if you believe it was a mistake. The first warning inside the B-21 is a tone that will not stop. It begins as a soft beep, then rises into a sharp pulse that fills the cockpit. On the threat screen, a thin line from the south turns solid red. That means one thing: a real radar lock. Someone on the ground is targeting them with serious power and purpose. The pilot reports the spike in a steady voice, trying to keep everyone focused. The electronic warfare officer studies the signal and sees the truth right away. The power level is far too strong for search mode. It looks like the early steps of a missile guidance test. This is the kind of signal crews sometimes trained to react to, but almost never expect to face for real. Inside Maracay, the Venezuelan radar operators watch the B-21 hold its line. To them, that looks like refusal. Their supervisor, already on edge after days of alerts, orders a power boost. He thinks it will push the aircraft away, but on the B-21's displays, that same boost looks aggressive, almost like someone is preparing for the next phase. Far out at sea, the USS Arleigh Burke detects the spike. In the Combat Information Center, sailors lean toward their screens as the picture becomes sharper. Source confirmed. Venezuelan S-300, one of them says. The captain steps forward and tells them to track the signal carefully, avoiding any moves that could be mistaken for a threat. Everyone knows a radar lock can shift from warning to launch in seconds. Inside the radar, the alarm grows louder. The EW officer calls out each jump in the waveform. Another spike, increasing strength. The pilot knows they can't stay on this heading. He banks 22 degrees north, a controlled move meant to show they are moving away from Venezuelan airspace. Even a small turn can calm a tense crew on the ground. Meanwhile, two F-22 Raptors launch from Florida under emergency orders. They are still minutes away, but their takeoff alone shows how serious this moment has become for the US. The B-21 continues its slow turn when the next spike hits even harder. No one in the cockpit knows if this is fear, confusion, or a deliberate push from the ground team. All they know is the standoff is now real, and one wrong decision could change everything. The situation climbs fast as the B-21 holds its new heading. The radar from Maracay does not ease. Instead, each pulse grows sharper, hitting the aircraft with steady pressure that feels heavier every second. Inside the cockpit, the warning tone becomes one long wall of sound. The crew knows this is not a routine lock anymore. Someone on the ground is pushing a system built for real combat, not simple tracking. The electronic warfare officer checks the waveform again. Another spike. They're correcting the beam. Everyone knows what that means. A radar that keeps correcting its lock is not just watching. It is trying to build the perfect track line a missile depends on. No one says it, but the fear sits in the room. Inside the Venezuelan command room, operators lean forward, reading every movement as a threat. They see the B-21 adjusting course, but tension makes each shift look suspicious. Some think the aircraft is hiding a slow turn toward the coast. Others believe it is testing their defenses. With pressure rising, they keep the radar at high power, afraid lowering it would make them lose control. Far at sea, the USS Arleigh Burke tracks the pulses as they grow stronger. Its radar picture shows a tight line stretching from the coast toward the aircraft. The captain steps closer. Hold tracking. Stay ready. The bridge goes quiet. Everyone knows how fast a lock like this can flip from warning to launch. Inside the B-21, the crew feels the aircraft tighten under the tension of the turn. The EW officer shifts the electronic shield again, creating a slight distortion. For a moment, the radar lock on their screen wavers. It bends and loses perfect shape just for a heartbeat. But then the radar snaps back with even stronger power, and the cockpit flashes red again. "They're not backing down," the pilot says softly. The sea stays calm below, but every system in the air and on the ship shows tension building. At this point, one mistake, one wrong reaction, could push both sides into a situation they never meant to start. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Do you think Venezuela pushed this far out of fear, or was it trying to challenge the US? Press 1 if you think it was fear, or 9 if you think it was pressure on purpose. Just as the radar picture starts to settle, something unexpected appears on the B-21's threat screen. A second echo. Small, clean, steady. It follows the radar's path almost perfectly. The EW officer leans closer. "We've got another trace. That shouldn't be there," he says, adjusting the filters. The echo refuses to disappear. If anything, it becomes clearer. Inside Maracay, the Venezuelan radar team sees the same signature. To them, it looks like a second stealth aircraft flying behind the first. The mood in the room shifts instantly. Quiet chatter stops. Operators straighten in their chairs. Two stealth aircraft in the same lane usually means a coordinated mission. Some think it's surveillance. Others fear it's a decoy and strike pattern. The supervisor orders confirmation from two more coastal radars. Both return the same reading, making the room even more nervous. None of them know the truth. The second aircraft is not an aircraft at all. It is a ghost created when the B-21's electronic shield bends the Venezuelan radar beam. A clean reflection that looks real on a stressed operator's screen. The B-21 crew understands it quickly. "It's our shield. They're seeing two of us now," the EW officer says. The pilot exhales slowly. Two targets mean more pressure on the ground, more fear, and a much higher chance that someone misreads the situation and escalates it. the ghost echo lingers for more than 20 seconds, long enough for confusion to grow inside the Venezuelan command room, long enough for officers to convince themselves that something bigger is happening, and long enough for the Raider crew to realize the situation has moved into a dangerous new phase where misunderstanding can be just as risky as intent. The climax hits fast. The ghost echo is still on the Venezuelan screens when the real radar lock tightens again. A strong pulse slams into the B-21, and every warning light flashes at once. The tone becomes sharp and constant, filling the cockpit with pressure. The pilot reacts immediately. New lock, strong spike. The EW officer reads the waveform. They reset it. Full power. This is their cleanest lock yet. Inside Maracay, the radar operators are shaken. They believe two stealth aircraft are in front of them now. One turning away, one holding a straight path. The room grows tense. A few operators think the B-21 is trying to mask a coordinated maneuver. Others think the second echo is a strike aircraft waiting for the right moment. Their supervisor's voice trembles slightly as he orders, "Hold both tracks, maintain lock." Far out at sea, the USS Arleigh Burke sees the spike rise again. The captain steps closer to the main screen. He knows exactly how thin the line is between tracking and firing. He sends a warning over open channel. "Reduce illumination. Our aircraft is disengaging." The message goes out clean, but there is no reply. Only silence and the rising hum of the radar. Inside the B-21, the tension peaks. The pilot banks harder to the north, pushing the aircraft higher and further from the coast. The airframe shivers. The EW officer activates another layer of silent shield, bending the radar beam again. On the Venezuelan screens, the two echoes blur together, then break apart sharply. Operators panic. Some think the aircraft jammed them. Others think both targets just coordinated a new move. Slowly, the B-21 gains distance. The radar lock weakens, then drops for the first time. The cockpit dims as the warning lights fade. The sudden quiet feels unreal. No one speaks, but every crew member keeps their eyes on the threat screen. They know the lock could return at any second. On the Venezuelan consoles, the ghost echo vanishes completely. Operators stare at the blank space, unsure if they lost a real aircraft or were chasing a reflection all along. Confusion spreads through the room, but the damage is done. The standoff has already reached its peak. Before we continue, I want your take. Did Venezuela hold that lock because they were confused by the ghost echo, or because they refused to back down? Press 1 for confusion, or 9 if they meant to challenge the US. Egg 7. When the radar lock finally drops, the B-21 cockpit sinks into a heavy silence. No alarms, no flashing lights, just the low hum of engines and the steady breathing of a crew that knows how close things came to turning bad. The pilot keeps the Raider on its northern heading, eyes locked on the threat screen, waiting to see if the lock returns. For the first time in minutes, it stays clear. Far out at sea, the USS Arleigh Burke confirms the drop. Tension inside the Combat Information Center eases, but no one steps away. Every trace, every pulse from the Venezuelan radar sites is recorded. Incidents like this are studied for months because they show how fast a small misunderstanding can ignite a crisis. In Maracay, radar operators are shaken. They lost the second echo without explanation, and now the B-21 is moving away. Some think both aircraft shifted course at the same moment. Others say the beam bent and glitched. The supervisor orders a full review, but the uneasy feeling lingers. They know they pushed the system harder than normal, harder than safe. Within an hour, both governments released statements. Washington calls the event an unacceptable act that placed a U.S. aircraft at risk. Caracas insists it was a standard defensive response. But the radar logs tell another story. The power levels, the timing of each spike, and the aggressive lock pattern show it was more than a routine scan. It was a step toward the attack sequence, intended or not. For the U.S., the message is clear. The Caribbean is no longer predictable. Even a test flight far from restricted airspace can trigger a hostile reaction. Commanders begin reviewing escort requirements for stealth missions. Analysts draft new response plans for radar aggression. The Navy considers shifting more patrol ships into the region. For Venezuela, The event becomes a warning of how quickly things can slip out of control. One boost of power, one misread echo, one stressed operator. That was all it took to bring two nations to the edge of something neither wanted. The message is simple. Today was a near miss. The next encounter might not give anyone time to step back.